My name is Rhapsody and welcome back to Iratus, Lord of the Dead. We have some patch notes we need to go through here. Specifically, version 15.8. It is really important that we go through the patch notes for this version in particular because they are large overhauls of a lot of the systems that people have most critiqued about the game. I'll go through the most important things. I'm not going to go through every single different gameplay change and every single different balance tweak, mostly because they don't have an in-game viewer for the patch logs. So while there's nothing on screen at the moment, I'm just going to summarize as much as I possibly can as quickly as possible. Tactical retreat. The abandoned battle in the top right corner has now been replaced with tactical retreat. You now have the chance to save your squad from certain death. When you click the button, all minions receive the retreat tag and leave battle at the beginning of the next turn. Minions retreat according to the same rules as enemies and take 50% more damage. You find yourself in the previous location on the map, and the damage received by your minions will carry over. So this helps fix one of the things that a large amount of people have been complaining about, that I've been referring to as kind of like breaking the back of a run, where you'll lose so many resources in a single encounter by either losing your premier party or maybe like a linchpin unit for your premier party and then the rest of the party. And you lose so many resources at the same time that you can find yourself in a position where you can't necessarily come back from it. This should help fix that. So should the next thing, comeback. At the end of a battle, Iratus will receive some parts, brains, and artifacts left over from each destroyed minion. Super useful. Speaking of things that are incredibly useful for this game and things that people have been asking for a while, scouting. The scouting system allows players to prepare for upcoming battles, showing the composition of enemy units in neighboring spaces on the map. So this is the single most impactful thing I think in this entire change, even over tactical retreat and comeback, just because knowing what you are about to encounter gives you the flexibility to design units to encounter them on the fly. So you can have like ad hoc units for battles where you need, you know, heavy physical damage and things like that. That's going to make the humanarium a lot more important because you can look at all the stats of all of the units before going in. Good Always Wins has been reworked as well. They reworked the balance, economy, and tactics of the hardest difficulty level Good Always Wins. Players who were not afraid to play it in the beta helped them polish it. Enjoy. So my understanding is that that suggests that it's harder now? Okay, well, it's as good a time as any for us to get into our first Good Always Wins run, right? And then a final couple of things here. The initiative bar at the top now reflects the turn order correctly, so there's no more rotation of turn order at the start of each round. That's really, really important because a lot of the time you'll just like visually get a sense of, oh, I have control of the field for a while, and then you take a move and the enemy immediately starts taking their moves afterwards because the turn order reshuffled. It's something that confused me for a couple of episodes until I figured out what was going on. I'm glad that's no longer an issue. You can now turn off unit lines, which I've done because, they're like okay, but they don't really have the same kind of like dripping characterfulness that the Darkest Dungeon ones do. And that's because like the Darkest Dungeon ones, they tend to relate to core ideal characteristics of the character, whereas there aren't so strong characteristics and traits for the characters in this game at the moment in particular. Sacrificing minions now gives Iratus consumable items instead of artifacts, so you no longer sacrifice a bone golem in order to get the bone armor or anything like that. But those consumables are directed by the character that you sacrifice, so there is some really good tech that we could get into based around that. It's going to be really interesting. Inspiration cancels escape. Excellent, that makes a lot of sense. And mana doesn't restore if minions retreat or are defeated. I will also note just in general, across the board, improvements of accuracy for Iratus' minions, increased rewards for killing elite enemies and bosses on all difficulty levels, as well as the Lich's Cloud has been changed in such a fashion that it doesn't trigger multiple times as people travel over it anymore. At least that's my understanding of something that's happened that makes that no longer such a dominant party. All right, so about 4.5 minutes in here before we go into the first start, but we did have to talk about those things because those are the kinds of large, like, systemic changes that I think a lot of people have been looking for from Iratus so far. So here's a save file that I already loaded up so that I could roll for the relic. They still haven't changed the fact that you do have to kind of roll for your opening artifact. That said, I decided to stop on an interesting artifact rather than an artifact that I'd previously decided is good. This is the Power Fist. It unlocks a secret destruction spell. Chain Lightning deals 40 to 50 magic damage to the first 3 enemies and costs 30 mana. I think this is going to be an interesting time to run a mana-based build. So because we're in Good Always Wins, actually that is one other thing that I do want to really quickly do. Just show the hover over information of Good Always Wins. So Good Always Wins is a game mode for true necromancers. Overpowered enemies, constant elite enemies, increased starting resources, fewer victory rewards, 1 starting artifact, very minor vigor recovery out of battle, and destroyed minions give fewer parts. Alright. So yeah, I'm going to try and make this the long-awaited Rhapsody finally learns how to use mana build. So, Iratus statue. I'm feeling like I probably do want to build you. I've only got 30 Architect Souls, so I can actually only open up 1 area out here, and that would usually be the library quickly. Library does make a lot of sense for this build in particular, just because I obviously do need a lot of these spells. So naturally, Arcane Antediluvian, Iratus receiving 5 mana after every fight is fine. Kind of useful for us. Where has... Blood Curse. Blood Curse is now on this line. That's really interesting. So Blood Curse is now directly below Arcane Antediluvian, so you don't need all of these 3 as well as Fate in order to get Blood Curse, which used to be here. This is now Black Incense. Okay, so they've swapped positions. So this gives me the ability to stack with a lot of vampires really, really quickly by making enemies negatively lucky in battle, and if they escape, I get a vampire for winning the battle. So making enemies escape means that I either need to turn them insane or to have some way of just like stalling while I wait for them to run away, even if they aren't insane. So what allows me to do that? Let's continue to ponder that as we look at some of these other trees. Okay, hang on. Some of these have been changed a little bit. Amateur Surgeon now just goes all the way to Scalpel Artist. So you don't have to go for... Oh, that's not even Calcination. Beautiful. Oh, Calcination's over here. So you never have to even get it. That's really good. It's an awful thing, and I hate having it. So this tree is really, really good. Like, getting Amateur Surgeon in surgical practice really quickly, just like 1, 2, with the 3 skill talents, the 3 skill points that you actually have, opening up a GAW campaign is pretty good. You can also get Transmutation and Relic Seeker. So Relic Seeker is off here. Yeah, the fact that Relic Seeker was a 1st level thing previously was insane. It was so powerful. Same with Grey Matter being 2nd level. So that all makes sense a little bit here. Does not work on minion abilities. Increases the amount of Wrath that Iratus gains in battle by 50. Does not work on minion abilities. What? Does not work on minion abilities. I don't necessarily understand what it is trying to imply there. But fine, I now understand that tree in general. Banshees. Maybe we want to run a party with some Banshees in it? Banshees can do decent magical damage or decent like physical damage mitigation if they're in a 2nd or a 3rd line. So Finger of Death is there. Black Incense through Dispel and Blind. So the Aya tree looks much the same right now. Yeah, the Aya tree is pretty much exactly the same, I think. Yeah, it is. And Destruction, I think Destruction has changed a little bit over on this side of the tree because the zombies used to be down at the very bottom, which was weird. Iratus deals 50% more damage with Destruction Talents if there's only 2 or less minions left on the battlefield. In particular, like, love my hands bloody. Iratus receives plus 50 Wrath after killing a target with a destruction spell. That seems like that would be really, really good just as an offensive build with a Power Fist, because that's a lot of magical damage. Against the first 3 enemies, you can probably get a kill, and then you can charge up a Wrath ability. But I am getting very far ahead of myself. Extremely far ahead of myself. What party do I actually build? So what party runs particularly well with spells? So that might be a party that has the ability to regenerate mana using abilities of those party members. So having like a Dark Knight could be useful. Primarily due to the Dark Knight's ability to... There we go. Iratus gains 12 mana on Dark Cleaning. But I've also run a lot of Dark Knights. I don't really want to do another Dark Knight. I've been thinking about a build that has 2 mummies in the backline. Where are you? There we go. So this is a unit I haven't necessarily explored as much as some of the other units. And the mummy has the feature here, Clinging Wraps, when in the back 2 lines to hit a target and pull them forward 2 spaces. That's really good for like disrupting stances and such. And the target loses 10 luck for 2 turns, but you can also make that 10 luck until the battle ends. So if I have 2 mummies in the back line just constantly hitting the same target with that, that target eventually has no luck whatsoever, in fact, negative luck. And negative luck increases luck on the part of the attacker. Effectively, what I'm saying is after a couple of rounds, every one of my units should crit every enemy unit. Seems pretty valuable. So that would be mummy for the back 2 liners. And then after that, I would be looking for what? Well, I'd be looking for frontline. I'd be looking for safety. So I've heard a lot of people talking about the zombie, and in particular what I've heard people talking about is saying that more powder is actually ridiculous. So, yeah, it would have to be trench loading that you're talking about, right? Zombie gets +1 block and +1 ward until the end of battle anytime they use it, but it can stack. So you just have the zombie in the front line with trench loading, load, just constantly getting block and ward, constantly just like soaking up all of those hits. And then eventually using cannonball to just one-shot a target. That makes a lot of sense to me, especially because the zombie would be doing that so slowly that over the time, the mummies would be lowering the... well, if the mummies are already hitting targets, then the zombie probably doesn't need to kill them with the cannonball. But what I was effectively going to go with was, oh, but then the zombies can just cannonball for the kill instantly with the giant crit. Cannonball is actually quite cheap as well. We can change it into a stress attack. Interesting. You can change it into light caliber, which allows you to do it from all positions, including the very back of the party. That's another thing we have to consider. If we do take the zombie in the second line, cannonball does move them backwards 1 space. So then I have a mummy in the second line. Am I okay with a mummy in the second line? Well, I should be, because mummies can move themselves back 1 space with absorb curses. So if anything, I would want to line those up with when I have the most debuffs that I want to remove from my group. Okay. So all of that's addressed so far. We've got 2 mummies in the back line. Those mummies in the back line have access to exactly how many stress moves? Impending Horror can be used either of the front 2 from any position. Oh, neat. And Hex Beam from the middles. Okay, so I do have access to stress if I need it. That's pretty important because that will give me the ability to stress targets out until I can have them run away from Blood Curse. It's gonna be like 15 to maybe even 20 minutes before we get into... It's not gonna be 20 minutes. It's gonna be like 17 minutes before we get into battle here. But it's really important that I set all of these ground layers here. Largely because they are going to, hopefully, influence the way that we run this party for the rest of the entire campaign. So what's another unit that I can put in a front line? So I've got sustainability in the front line is my main concern, right? So if sustainability in my front line is the main concern, why don't I put a Bone Golem there? Bone Golem just stands there and uses Nefarious Engine constantly, just healing back up. And if you need to do something that's not that, you're well equipped to do something that's not that. What is this party missing? This party is missing damage that goes through physical defense, so magical damage, but that's supplemented by my spells at the moment. So what is it missing that it can't get? What is it missing that it can't get? Well, we have magic attack on volley here. I guess it's a little low on accuracy, but that's about it. I'm gonna try this.
Easier to make my enemies unlucky than being lucky myself.
Could not agree more. Could not agree more, Iratus.
Every skeleton in dreams to become this when they grow up.
Okay, so our next question is, do we immediately start going for the Iratus statue here? Right? That's the next question. Or maybe what I do is I go magic, I get Antediluvium, I get the blood curse, I start making vampires, and until I have vampires, I don't do anything in this area. Like, yeah, I have 20 architect souls that could be used to make an Iratus statue right now, but also I could just save 4 parts by waiting until I get a vampire before I do anything. That'll also give me more direction. I'll have more ideas of what to do by then.
All are at my command.
Okay. I'm kind of comfy with this. So the biggest thing that I'm not comfortable with is the fact that the zombie in the second line right now doesn't actually do anything. Because more powder is the ability we're using rather than trench loading. So the sustainability isn't actually there. So the zombie in the front party is probably just going to be using like buckshot and accurate volley and stuff like that. Okay. I think we can do this. So let's have a look at the map. Okay, can't go back to a point of origin and can't move south. Can't go back to a point of origin and can't move south. Ooh, okay, so we've got a elite conscript, I think, and 2 hunkies. How many steelies can I get in a single path? Well, I can get 1 steely here, and then I can get another one over here. And there's a sacrifice on the way as well. Is there any way I can get multiple sacrifices as well as multiple steelies? I'm not seeing a path that does that. 1 sack, 1 steely. Yeah, the loop out here and then back in. I miss out on going for an elite squad, although that elite squad has a mad mage in it, so that actually is probably a problem for us. Interesting. So we miss out on that elite squad, but we get this later one. So I can take a path that has an early elite and a midline elite, and then... Can it get a late elite? It can't get a late elite. But that's pretty brutal. Or I can avoid all but just this 1 elite, and then I have a sacrificial altar afterwards. So I'll spoil for you right now why I want the sacrificial altars as much as I do. So steelies are a choice between levels for minions or levels for Iratus, and the levels for Iratus go into the talent tree over here. Now, those levels for Iratus, I find to be really, really, really important as an immutable level of progression over the game, right? Because Iratus doesn't lose those over time, whereas you do lose minions that have leveled up. So I find it to be really important. And a lot of these high-level ones are really, really powerful. Like, think of ultimate abilities cost 10 Wrath less. If Iratus has 100 Wrath, all spells cost 10 mana less. Like, they're really impactful things. Every time you win an encounter, minions that participated receive an additional experience point. Like, they only get 1 by base. So that's doubling the experience of all characters from all battles. So, why is that so important? Because the consumable that you receive from sacrificing a Dark Knight is the consumable book of something. It's book of something. It's 300 experience in a book as a consumable. It is ridiculous for getting you off to a really good early talent tree. Another thing I need to think about with this party is, do I ever use my ultimates with this party? Like, obvious... Whoa, hang on. The golem no longer just kills itself to use that? Oh, no. Self-destruct is the one that kills you. Okay. Sweet. So we have, like... Damn. We have, like, a lot of ultimate abilities we're going to want to use, so we're probably not too interested in getting Relentless Evil, but it's so good as well. Whatever. We actually need to go out on a mission at some point here. Let's go. Whew. 19. Hey, we did actually manage to get into a battle before the 20-minute mark. Hey, it's a new run. This is how this happens. All right. So it's an elite conscript, and the conscripts, sweet. So I also do have to look at their stats again for this time, because this is the first time I've seen them in Good Always Wins. So you have 18 evasion, 12 crit, 24, 15. Okay. It's pretty rough. I mean, I just took a hit, but I'd probably just go for damage, right? So I'm going to be dropping that conscript out of position pretty easily. And the elite conscript should be the other one that I kill. So if I'm going to have to target you to move you out of position and I have to kill you because I don't want you on the field, you're a threat, then this is the conscript that stays. So I'll lower their luck right now. And then start attacking the elite conscript. Especially for lowering their attack seems pretty important for that elite conscript as well. I feel like increased accuracy is going to be really important for all of these party members. Not because, like, last time it was because we were running that wild crit but can't hit build. This time it will be... Ooh, hang on. Do I just go for the volley on the front line? I think maybe I do. Or even ignition on the front line is pretty good. Yeah. Nate. I was in the middle of saying something and then I forgot because I was trying to talk about this. Damn it. It happens like that constantly. Ouch. Okay, so I have to pull this unit forwards just so the elite conscript is in a position where I can actually push them. Or pull them, rather. And 2 enemies behind it. I don't want to do that. Alright, let's just ignite the other one as well. It's fine. Woo! Desperately needed that one to hit. But it did, and it all worked out. Okay, we're very quickly getting to just the final unit on the field. Lovely. Nefarious engine time. Let's heal back up. And this mummy is... See, this is the mummy in the position where I can actually use stress debuffs on the second liner, so I feel like I should probably turn around and do a little bit of that. That's too much. Because now if I kill the frontliner, the backliner might die. Just as a result. Don't die. Oh, thank heck.
I didn't think it would be this easy.
So yeah, I just have to wait for that conscript now to run away. Unfortunately, my zombie is probably not going to like the time I'm spending doing this. Maybe that means that at least before the zombie is level 2, at least until I have a level 2 brain, maybe I just have Bone Golem in the front line. So is it sorry, Mummy, the face looks similar. Is it Mummy, Bone Golem? Bone Golem, is that the party? Could be. Need you to want to escape. Please escape. Please, I need the vampire. It's my whole build. Is not having to wait on these resources from this. Thankfully, all of my members have something they can use to just stall for a moment while I wait for this. I've got to get used to exactly what it is because, yeah, so it's E on you, it's A on everyone else. You have a 30% chance and you're cowardice, so yeah, now you want to escape. Beautiful. We got him. Ladies, gents, and non-binary friends, we got him. Oh, yeah. That is going to be the first of many vampires that are just going to stock our graveyard. Soon as it gets your turn, bud. There we go.
Soon this world will be mine.
Yes! There's my first vampire. So next up, we actually do now have 52 Architect Souls. Ridiculous. So I can make the Iratus statue and not the Abode of Wrath. Excavation is interesting a little bit. But I'm thinking, is it Obelisk or Library? We decided not to go Obelisk, right? We decided that that was a trap at this point. With the more resources that you get from Good Always Wins, I wonder if it's not a trap here. But I am a little concerned. Have the numbers on any of these changed? No. That slightly increased. 15% chance to find a random item in the Lake of the Dead rather than a 10% chance. That's slightly increased at least. Yeah, it definitely seems like that zombie is a bad idea. We should go Bone Golem, Bone Golem. That would have been a much healthier fight for us with just 2 Bone Golems at the front line. Much healthier? Yeah, I think much healthier. Do it.
This is what a necromancer's war machine looks like.
All right, let's make a Bride of Iratus as well.
What can I say? While the main purpose of this structure is to funnel magical energy, it also serves to provide some much-needed grandeur to my lair. Practical and pleasing.
It's weird, the the subtitles disappeared from the screen a long time before you stopped speaking there, friend. I am considering whether or not the secondary building that I start going for here is the arena. Just because the party is quite homogenous at this point, right? We've got 2 mummies and 2 bone golems. Like, it could be much more diverse as far as the party composition goes, but it isn't, which gives me the freedom to open the arena and just start putting mummies and bone golems in there. It also helps us with the idea that zombies can't be used until level 2 at the absolute least, so that they have access to trench loading so they can be in the front line. Yeah, I'm actually kind of behind it. The skeleton looks like I'm lacking a little. I think it's, yeah, it's a little bit of bone there. Just whip one up out of leftovers. Unfortunately, we also need to whip up a skull.
The skeleton will clean up this mess later. Humans become much sturdier when you strip them of their vital organs.
And I'll start training you. You can heal later, it's fine. Training is the more important thing, I think. Okay. I'll swap the positioning of these mummies just for the sake of trying to not lose so much HP on the single targets. Ooh, actually, hang on. There's another path out here that gets 2 sacrificial altars and 1 steely. Is that a better path for us? Let's actually count units this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11, but that only gets 1 steely and 1 sack altar. I really wish the longest path was more clear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that's definitely the shortest. 1, 2, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know it's 4 to get to this position, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's 4 to get to this position no matter what. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 versus 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 versus 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think the longest path that we can do is the same path that we've been planning to this entire time. Ooh, do I want to rest before and after a single elite? Maybe that's worth it. No, it's the same path that we've been planning to do the entire time. Single combat, 30 minutes. I know. Once every 3 turns, Iratus gains a 6% extra chance to acquire parts after victory. I actually really like that. It's just, is initiative the most important thing for us? Blood Diamond, starting any turn with less than 70 vigor gives you extra attack for 2 times. And it gives you a block. That's something that I would just pop on one of the blood golems there. And then we also have Ears Necklace for once every 2 turns, gain extra luck for 3 turns. And that is resistance. So I don't really need resistance right now. Is that true? Resistance becomes more important next floor. Do I want the block or the resistance? I think I want the block. I think I want the once every 3. I want the trigger conditional of the Witch Skin Sash. I want the stats of the Blood Diamond. And I want the Ears Necklace later. So it's kind of like a perfectly split choice for us. So there's an elite miner in here, but that's the worst part of it. Okay. Good hit. I think we just get rid of the conscript really quickly because the conscript does a large amount of damage. I think the hunky is the one that we leave on the field for the longest. Conscript is undefended and does a large amount of damage. Does that mean I should also... Yeah, it means I should Blood Curse right now. Just so that there's less luck on that target for the rest of the battle. In case that becomes relevant. Sweet. Annoying. Ugh. Yeah. It's the missing of the accuracy coming back to bite us. I could theoretically do 17 to 18 I mean, no. Yeah, let's just do as much damage as possible. Especially because I'm not missing any HP, so there was no difference between the attacks. Well, no significant difference between the attacks. 20% damage difference, but not like an effect difference. Yeah, enemy party shuffling us is a little bit of a problem for us. We do have, obviously, units that have the ability to move themselves forwards. Is it a problem? I mean, they can just move themselves forwards. It seems to be fine, at least. Maybe it's not a problem. So unfortunately, I can't cursing touch either of the frontliners here. We started losing luck. If the mummy has a debuff, I don't have a debuff, so I don't get anything for doing that. And it could just like impending horror, but then I'm starting to move forwards. Because it seems like the easiest way to get rid of the miners is actually going to be pouring like horror. No, but the thing is the bone golems are only able to do physical damage, so like I'm going to be doing stress and physical at the same time anyway, so I may as well just focus on physical. I think that's correct. Let's get rid of the block while we can. A lot of damage. Great stuff to be able to heal from, but a lot of damage. God damn it. I lowered your luck specifically so you wouldn't be critting while I was leaving you on the field. Feeling a little hard done by with the crit that you just did. Well, yeah, now I don't have the ability to do anything except for... But actually, hang on. I'll wait. Then the next one moves themselves forwards. Then I've got the positioning to actually use my abilities. Lovely. The wait feature in this game is actually really, really nifty. I've seen a lot of turn-based RPGs with wait features in them and haven't always really understood the usefulness of them. But here it's like pretty clean and pretty obvious. Yeah, especially because the enemy hits twice and that's like so much of their damage, lowering their attack with that hit seems like a good idea to me. I think I might want to start driving the Hunky in the backline in Stain. I'm gonna do it. God, stop hitting. Ow. Just because they might try and run away early, and if they do, we could actually be in a really good position.
Carve open their
Crit.
husks.
As in, we might get 2 vampires out of the same fight. Right, because don't they have to be the final member alive or in the back line to want to flee? I'm trying to get them closer to Insane. It might work out. What? That one wants to escape. I'm just going to tag you with the Blood Curse. See, the longer these fights go.
Crimson hunger.
Keep healing back up. I might actually get 3 vampires. No, I can't get 3 vampires because the Blood Curse costs 30 and I only have 25 left. I should still probably spend some time healing my bone golems before I leave the battle. Right. Yeah. Okay. That's 1 vampire. We still need to wait for this Hunky to want to run away as well, by the way. You've got, start of your turn, lose 40% of your maximum vigor and you receive an extra action. Yeah, okay, so you're going to want to run away really, really quickly. That's the problem. Not going to want to run away, but you're going to want to die. You're bleeding out really, really quickly. All right. I love that my damaged unit just got 2 actions in a row there. Really appreciated. Unless you want to run at the end of this turn, you're dead. Yeah, you're dead. Damn it. Well, at least I still got a vampire out of the fight. At the start of their next turn, they were going to die. Smoking bans. Interesting. Let's have a little bit of a look at that, see if that's important to us. It is, each time Iratus uses a spell, a random enemy is dealt 10 stress damage, and it's in the same slot as the Power Fist. I don't know about that. I mean, we haven't used the Power Fist yet, though. Oops. All right. Out here in the arena, we've got a zombie doing decently right now. I may want to make a secondary party, like a completely different party of other units to run like a couple combats. Just for the reasoning that I can't make like 2 more bone golems and 2 more mummies right now. I'd probably only need 1 bone golem. Yeah, it'd probably only need 1 bone golem. We should be okay. Problems. Okay. Enemies are 15% less likely to escape. Write it off. Not taking that. Minions gain +5 armor until the battle ends and has a 15% chance to miss their turn. That might be amazing, because the more our enemies spend time constantly whacking away at our armor, especially if they hit our mummies, the more luck that they're losing. A 15% chance to miss your turn is really, really critical. Like, I feel like that would feel so bad when it goes wrong, but otherwise it would be fine and happy and dandy and pretty good. Like, okay, never mind. That's a truism in the way that I've stated it. Okay. What I'm trying to express is I feel like that item is pretty powerful, but it would feel so bad when the negative is incurred as to make people feel that it is overall garbage. I don't think it's overall garbage. I just think that it will feel like that for that reason. There's also just parts drop 10% more often. I'm going to take that.
Amazing that they just leave lying around. Now
I also think maybe I want to get Amateur Surgeon really, really quickly.
well, even more than previously.
Like, run down... Why would I run down this tree if I am getting vampires to stock my graveyard? Why I'd run down this tree because I'm looking for extra parts to make my main squad? That's something true that I'm currently running into as a problem. And I'd run down this line if I was looking to make very, very big minions very, very quickly. Which I guess I'm also looking to do. I think one of the most powerful things about our previous run was the fact that we found our way out of the parts ecosystem. Like, the economy no longer mattered to us. So I think I do take Amateur Surgeon and then probably Surgical Artist thereafter. Although in between episodes, I should probably give that some more time to have a look at. And also these levels. All right. The obvious thing is that we need to have the luck until battle ends on both of these mummies so that we're actually doing the effect we're looking for. And then critical hit damage increases by 25% until the end of battle. Does that stack? If that stacks with itself, then the Bone Golem just crits people out of existence eventually, which is ridiculous. Or I can gain more vigor. All right, I'm going to check off camera whether or not that stacks in order to choose whether or not I take that. And then the zombie goes for the obvious trench loading right there.
Results.
Lovely. Well, for the moment, my name has been Rhapsody. The name of the game has been Iratus, Lord of the Dead. There have only been 2 battles in this episode. There will be more in the next one. Hopefully you've been enjoying yourselves. There is a playlist in the description down below with all my content on this game, past, present, and future. And hopefully we'll see you next time.